let's get to it. All right, so the first question, hopefully my pen is working this time. Yes, it is. It's a subtraction problem. Now, there's so many ways of doing this, but one way is to change it to an addition problem. Okay, so what we have here, we end up having 74 plus 64, and our answer would be 138, right? We keep the first add-in stays, the subtraction becomes addition, and the opposite of negative 64 becomes 64. You think about negative, what I call a number line, so just let me draw this on a number line, and let's just pretend. So if I were to do, let me just do this one first, 74 plus 64. So on a number line, I would go up to 74, right? And then from here, I would add the second part, and from 74, I would walk another 64 paces, and eventually I would get to 138. So that's addition. Now let's see if that subtraction on the number line, show you again, if you end up in the same place, right? Because we want to show that these two are the same. So again, start at 0. 74 positive means, again, you walk to 74, stop. So you notice that our first leg here is the same. Then, remember I told you what subtraction meant. Subtraction means going, so subtract on the number line, right, means go left. So we're supposed to go that way. But the problem is, we're supposed to go left, but we're going to tell this number here to go left. Because that number is a negative, that number is going to say, I don't really want to. It's going to do the opposite of what you tell them. So instead of going left, you end up going right 64 paces, which takes you again to 138. So whether you do this or you do this, they end up at the same spot, which is 138. Okay. Circle all the situations that result in a value of 0. You go up 24 floors, and then you go down 27 floors. Obviously, you would not be at 0, right? You would be under -3. That doesn't work. Temperature is 8, and then increases by 9, so that takes you to 17, so that's also a no. Getting 80% of the test, then doing test corrections to get half of the points back. No, I used to do that, by the way. Spending $4,500 on renovating the bathroom, then winning $4,500 on a lotto ticket. You know what? It is, yes, but in reality, it would be a no. Okay, this is, just I'm being a little technical, but this is the one that, you spend $4,500 and you win $4,500. So technically, you didn't spend anything, right? You're at 0. In reality, you would have to pay some taxes over here, right? Which would take you, which means you wouldn't make $4,500. You would make a little bit less. But just in the context of this story, that would be the correct answer. Okay. Put the following integers in order from least to greatest. So again, what you have to remember, ladies and gentlemen, is that any two numbers that you put on the number line, and I don't even know what they are here. Any two numbers. This is 0, by the way. Let me just, okay, so think of the other letters. The letter who's on the right side will always be the one with the bigger, greater value. So between C and D, who has a greater value? D. Between B and A, who has a greater value? B does. So the letter on the right, or the number on the right, okay, not to the right of 0, but just on the right side. So if you were to compare any two values, let's call this X and let's call this Y. And I don't care where 0 is. Let's just say that X is here on the number line and Y is here on the number line. Which one has a greater value? The number on the right. So how you want to do this, I would maybe, if you're having some difficulties, is maybe put them on number line. So again, you don't have to draw 42 little ticks here, but you just sort of approximately put your numbers. So if that's 0, let's start with -38. If that's 0, that would be -1, -2, -3, and you keep walking and keep walking. -38, let's just assume it's over here, right? -38 is over here, -39, and let me just extend this number line a little bit more. -39 will be to the left, right? Well, these two are placed. 12 would be to the right of 0, somewhere around here. -40, and again, if you are at 0, you're taking 40 spaces to the left, so that would be -1, 2, 3, 5, 20, 38, negative 38, negative 39, and negative 40. And finally, we have negative 5, and negative 5 would be very close to 0. So in order from least to greatest, the smallest number is the number furthest to the left, which is negative 40. The second one would be negative 39. Third one in value. Fourth one in value. And the biggest number out of all five numbers is 12. Okay. Which negative 15 is greater? So negative 15 is greater than which of these four sums here? Which of these four? So unfortunately, you would have to figure out, actually evaluate each of these expressions and find out. So negative 4 plus 12 is, and again, we have more negatives, so that would be 22, negative 22. Is negative 15 greater than negative 2? So let me just write here, negative 22. Yes, it is. Negative 8 minus 7. So this is going to eventually give us negative 15. Is negative 15 greater than negative 15? No, so the second one doesn't count. The first one works. Negative 24 and negative 31 is negative 55. Is negative 15 greater than negative 55? Yes, it is. So that one works. And lastly, negative 7 plus negative 9 is negative 16. And can we say that negative 15 is greater than negative 16? Yes, it is. So again, on the number line, if that's 0, and let's say this is negative 15, negative 22 would be around here. Negative 55 would be around here, and I'm just going to write negative 55. And negative 16 would be around here. So you notice that this number, and this number, all three numbers are to the left of negative 15, which means they're all smaller in value. Okay, so again, you had different answers here. You had three answers that, fulfilled the requirement there. Okay. Hang on one second. And sorry, I have to go to 5. It's 5. Okay, let me scroll down a little bit. So what integers, when divided, gives you a positive quotient? Well, in order to get a positive quotient, you need to be dividing a negative number divided by negative number will give you a positive quotient. What other integers? Well, a positive divided by a positive will also give you a positive quotient. Okay, so keep in mind those are the two possibilities. Find the difference. I would really suggest that you change this to an addition problem until you're absolutely 100% comfortable. Okay, understanding what's going on here. So if it's easier for you to understand it this way, change it to an addition. Subtraction becomes addition, and negative 17, we change it to the opposite of negative 17, which is 17. Now you have negative 29 plus 17, and you can clear it. Now that might be a little easier to understand. Negative 29 is negative, so the answer is going to be negative, right? Because it's that bigger absolute value here. And then we subtract the numbers, and we get 12. So the answer is negative 12. Which of these has the least value? Well, that's negative 25. This is going to be negative 21, 35. This one's going to be negative 50, right? Both negative, so we add them, keep the sign. This one, there's more negatives, and so I know the answer is going to be negative. So we subtract the number, and that's going to be 62. What is it? 33. Okay, so 29. Which one has the least value? So which one's furthest to the left of on the number line. Okay, the number furthest on the left of the number line is this guy right here, negative 50. So that one has the least value. Okay. Sam lost $25 in the lotto game. Okay, so let me write that down. Represent the situation and as an arithmetic sum and evaluate. Okay, so number sentence, right? So let's start with his current situation. He's down negative 25. Then he lost another $9. So we can write this plus another loss. And then plus he lost another 30. If you wanted to write this like this, you could have also have written it that way. Okay, so, and again, if you think about it, and if you change the subtraction to addition, right, this becomes plus, and the 9 becomes negative 9. The subtraction becomes plus, and the 30 becomes negative 30. So if you wrote it this way or this way, that's fine with me. And then you have to evaluate. So we're adding 3 negative numbers. So just we're going to get a number that's further away to the left. So 3964 looks like the final answer. Okay, negative 64. Write a decimal equivalent to 7 over 15. Okay. Well, it doesn't go here. So it goes, 15 goes into 74 times, which is 60. Subtract, bring a 0 down. 15 goes into 6 times. 6 times, which is, what's that? 30, carry 3, 90. And you notice that now we're going to have a repeat of that, right? We're going to be another 6. So this is going to be a repeating decimal, right? It's going to continue. So what's repeating is a 6. So my answer is going to be 0.46 bar notation, right? Because that 6 is going to repeat. So you have that. Next one, it's a fraction, right? But we can, if you like, I like it that way. So that says negative 85 divided by 5. So I know my quotient is already going to be negative, and simply my answer is going to be 17, negative 17, right? Because it's a negative divided by a positive. Okay. The next one, evaluate the expression. Okay, so let me just write this down over here. So keep in mind, guys, right, the parentheses, the 2 in this case is asking everybody inside that parentheses to be raised to the second power. So in this case, we actually have negative 9 times negative 9, which is 81, minus 2, and negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. 81 I'm going to rewrite. We're going to multiply these two, and we're going to get, we'll get to this later, but so a subtraction stays, and you end up multiplying 2 times negative 5, which is negative 10. And eventually it's going to become 81 plus 10, right? Which gives us 91. Okay. Where am I? Which one has the greatest value? Well, positive times a negative is a negative. Negative divided by a positive is a negative. 4 times negative 5 is going to give negative 20. And negative divided by positive is a negative, and 48 divided by 12 is a 4. So which one has the greatest value? So which of these 3 numbers are furthest to the right on the number line? Negative 4. So that becomes our greatest integer. Okay. Where are we on 13? Okay. So 13 says negative 5 times 6 divided by negative 10. Order of operation dictates that we do these two first. Negative times a positive, and I'm going to make some negative, 30, and divided by negative 10, right? So negative divided by negative now gives me a positive, and that is going to just give me a 3. Be careful with this question, or pay attention to this question, hint. So which expression can you use to find the change in elevation if you're going from 12 feet underwater? So here it is, you're here, swimming, right? So pretend you're swimming, and you're at negative 12 underwater, and you're going to the top of a building that is at 245 feet above ground. So imagine if you were from, I don't know, we're down there scuba diving at negative 12 feet. You get up, get out of the water, and you climb a building, I don't know, okay? Very tall building apparently, and you're gonna go all the way to 245. So what's the distance that you traveled? So which of these four situations can you use to calculate the distance that you travel? And just before we use that, let's find out what the distance is. Well, I know that the distance, first of all, has to be positive, right? So if you're negative 12 underwater and you go to sea level, just this distance is 12. And then from sea level, which is 0, and you walk up all the way to 245, right? It's 245 units. So the total amount that you just walked would be the 12 plus 245, which gives us positive 257. So one of these four answers has to give us 257. So the first one, I'm not even gonna say anything. That's garbage, right? Because there's no way that's gonna give us positive 257. So that's gone. Second one, also there's no way that's gonna give us positive negative 257 because that says absolute value of negative 12, which is 12. And minus 245 is no way going to give us 257. So that's, I'm not even bothering looking at that. So this one, the third one, negative 12 minus 245. So if I do that, and remember it's between the absolute values, right? So negative 12 minus 245, it's negative 12 plus negative 245, right? Still an absolute value. If I add those two negatives, I get negative 257 in absolute value. And if I take the absolute value of negative 257, I get 257. So we have a winner over here. And the last one, again, we can completely ignore because we end up getting negative 12 minus the absolute value of 245, which is 245. Now that's going to actually get us negative 257. So the only one that has an answer, a final answer of positive 257 is the third expression. A skier descends, which means to go down, right, at a rate of 6 feet per second. What's the change in elevation after 1 minute? So let's draw a mountain. He's over here, right? He's going to ski down the mountain. And every 6 seconds, he's going to go 6 feet. So after 1 minute, how much was his change in elevation? Well, first of all, 1 minute is 60 seconds. So 1 second, he travels 6 feet. In 60 seconds, how many feet does he travel? We multiply 6 times 60. He's going to travel 360 feet. So, and because he's descending, the change in elevation is going to be negative 360 feet. So wherever he is, let's say he's 1,000 feet up, right? After 60 seconds, we're going to subtract negative 360. So the change in elevation is negative, and make sure that if this is a multiple choice, you choose the one that it's negative because he's going down, okay, down the mountain. As it shows, the bank 120, okay, and then he borrows money to buy 12 coffees at 125 each for all the math teachers. How much does he owe now? Great. So I'm already in debt, which is represented by this. And then out of the kindness of my heart, I decide to buy 12 coffees at 125 each. So Alexa, what's 12 times 125? Uh-oh, Alexa's not working. So 12 times, I know.
I'm having trouble understanding right now. Please try a little later.
No thanks. So 12 times 125 is 15. So all 12 coffees is going to cost me $15. So I'm already owing the bank $120, which is represented by negative 120. Plus to that debt that I have, I'm going to add another negative 15. So how much more in debt am I? Now I owe the whopping negative $135. Okay? That kind of makes sense, right? Let's scroll down. 17. Okay, Clark parked his car on the 7th floor underground. He goes up 19 to get to his office. At lunch, he goes down 8 floors to meet his girlfriend. Then they decide to go to the restaurant floor that's located 6th floor down. On what floor is the restaurant? All right, so it's a building, and here I'm going to draw a line, and that's going to be the street level, or the lobby, or 0th floor. Okay, so it starts at -7, right? So he starts at -7. He goes up 19 floors. So let's illustrate that. He goes up 19 floors. Okay, and then at lunchtime he goes down. So let me make it a little bit higher. So he goes all the way up to his office, plus 19. Then, I don't know what floor he is, by the way. I just know that he goes 19 floors up. We can find that out. But he goes up 19 floors. And then, from there, where am I? He goes down to meet his girlfriend. So he goes down 8 floors. So from then, he goes down 8 floors. So plus -8, or just -8, whichever you want. And then from there, after meeting his girlfriend, right, he goes down another 6 floors. So plus -6 or -6, however you choose to write it. So on what floor is the restaurant? Well, we gotta add all these. -17 plus 19 is 12, positive. 12 plus -8 is going to give us, and 12 plus -8 is going to give us +4. And +4 plus -6 is going to give us -2. So the actual restaurant is 2 floors underground. Okay. Death Valley. We sort of did this. Okay, Death Valley. So imagine a valley over here. And that elevation is -286 feet below sea level. While Rushmore is 5,725 feet above. Okay, so that's 0. What's the difference in elevation between these two? Okay, so again, we have a start, we have a final, and we need the change, right? Right, so final equals start plus change. So we actually want to change here. So the change would be final, and it doesn't matter which one you make it final. So let's make this final. Final, which is 5725, minus, okay, the start, which in this case is 286, -286, and the change, right, the difference between these two would actually be 5725 plus 286, and that ends up being 1, 11, 10, and 8. So the difference between these two elevations is 8,011 feet. Are we talking about feet? Yes, feet. Now, if you did it the other way, where you start with, you actually put the start as -28, -286, and then you did minus 5,725, and you got negative, what do you call, 8,011. Okay, you would have had to take the absolute value, okay, to get a positive number. Okay, so we're asking the distance between the top of the mountain all the way straight down to the bottom of the valley. So the actual distance is 8,011 feet. So you make sure that your answer in this context of problem, it's a positive number. Carlo was playing a video game. His character had an energy level of 3,000. Okay. Over the next 15 seconds, he was attacked by a large group, and his energy dropped to 0. What was the change in energy level each second? Okay, so he had 3,000 points of energy. Okay, and then he lost it, so he lost everything. So divided by 15 seconds, I can find how much he lost per second, right? So if I do 3,000 divided by 15, and that's going to give me 200. Okay, although 200 is how much it lost, the change in energy per second is minus 200. So please adjust your answer to the context of the story. All right, I'm going to give you your I'm going to write the bonus word. And it's going to be there you go. That's your bonus word, cyclone. Because I'm looking at a picture of me on a cyclone on Coney Island. All right, so that's your 2% point bonus word if you're interested. Okay, so 20, let's do 20. So 20 has 3 problems. Let me start from this side here because I have room. So order of operations, right? So I'm going to do, now there's a big difference between this and this. One is negative 4 to the second power. The other one is 4 to the second power. Remember what I told you. This, the 2 here, the exponent, it's only being applied to the 4. Whereas this 2 here, this exponent is applying to this and that. So the first one ends up being minus, and then we take 4 to the second power, which is 16, right? We're not raising this minus or multiplying that minus times itself twice. Minus, and then here we take everything in the parentheses and multiply by itself. So it's negative 4 times negative 4, which becomes 16. Final answer, negative. Sorry, just in case we need to have it. So keep the first one, change the subtraction to addition, and 16 becomes negative 16, and you get negative 32. Okay, but this particular question was aimed at, do you know the difference between this and this? Completely 2 different expressions. Middle one. So everything is in the absolute. So we have 2 absolute values. So we have to find the value inside, take the absolute value. Find the value inside, take the absolute value. Okay, so let's do that one. So here we have negative 3 to the third power. It's negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Right? It's an odd number of negative numbers. So if I multiply that, I'm going to get a negative answer. And in this case, negative 27. So in that first absolute value sign, I get negative 27 minus 2. Minus, and on this side, I have 24 divided by 2 to the second power. Let me just change 2 to the second power as 4. And 24 divided by 4 is 6. So I have that in my absolute value. Now I can take my absolute value. Negative 27 minus 2 is negative 29. And the absolute value of negative 29 is just simply 29. What's the absolute value of 6? It's just 6, right? Because absolute value measures the distance you are away from 0. And 29 minus 6 is just 23. Last one here, let me bring that out here. Minus 16 divided by negative 4. Okay, so there's a lot of things going on. This negative 2 here is being multiplied by whatever comes out. It's going to multiply by whatever comes out of this absolute value. Okay, so that's going to hang out and do nothing for a little bit. So negative 2, absolute value. Again, be careful with this. This is 5, so minus 5 to the second power, and the 5 to the second power is 25. Minus 16 divided by negative 4. Okay. Now continue, so it's negative 2. Let's just take care of everything here. So over here we have negative 25 minus, and 16 divided by negative 4 is negative 4, right? Because it's a positive times a negative. I'm going to change that problem inside the absolute value to a addition problem. And I'm going to get negative 25 plus, and the opposite of negative 4 is 4. Continue, it's negative 2, and negative 25 plus 4 is negative 21. We'll continue on this side. So negative 2, and the absolute value of negative 21 is 21. So what comes out of the absolute value is positive 21. Negative times a positive is a negative, and 2 times 21 is 42. Final answer. Finding the mean is finding the average. So what the first thing you need to do is add them up. Where is it? So you have to add these. So negative 23 plus 18 plus 7 plus negative 19, put that in parentheses, plus negative 9. So you need to add it up. I'm going to use a calculator. So negative 23, actually not. Negative 23 plus 8 is negative 5. Plus 7 is going to be positive 2. 2 plus negative 19 is negative 17. And negative 17 plus that negative 9 in the corner is negative 26. So all that equals to negative 26, and we're going to divide it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We divide that by 5. So negative 26 divided by 5 is going to be a negative number, and that's going to be 5.2510, 5.2. Final answer. The average temperature in Mars is negative 63. The average temperature in Lima, Peru is 17. What is the difference in temperature again? So think of a thermometer. Mars, you are very cold, negative 63. And in Lima, Peru, it's 17 degrees. So again, what's the difference here? So think about if you want to, this is 0 by the way. Okay, the distance between negative 63 and 0, and then the 0, and add that to the distance between 0 and 17. So basically you're adding the absolute value of 63, negative 63 plus the absolute value of 17, right? Because it's both the distance between those two numbers and 0. So we get 63 plus 17 and 80. So the difference between those, the temperature, okay, the difference between the temperature of these two planets is they have an 80-degree difference. Okay, it's not negative or positive. Sorry, it's not negative. It's just the difference between. Okay. So next we have more evaluating. Oh my God. Okay, so negative minus 3 to the third power is 27. Minus, and inside we have 22 minus 20, 12 minus 22, it's negative 10. Okay, so if you take that and you get 12 minus 22, 12 plus negative 22, all right, 12 plus negative 22 is negative 10, okay. Absolute value of negative 10 is, so let me just write this here, negative 10 minus, and negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 is negative 27. I forgot to sign here. So negative 27 minus the absolute value of negative 10 is 10, minus negative 27. Now it's just a matter of, let's do this, becomes this. And negative 27 plus negative 10 is negative 37, which you're going to subtract negative 27. Negative 37 plus 27, right? Because we're changing to an addition problem, and that gives us a value of negative 10. Final answer. B, okay, so I'll write it out. Negative 12 minus 4, negative 2 to the fourth power plus 4, negative 11. Okay, so negative 2, order of operations, minus 4. I'm not multiplying. The only thing I'm going to do is change this exponent here to 2, 4, 8, 16 positive. Right, because it's negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, right? So that's going to give us positive 16 plus 4 times negative 11. Okay, order of operations still. Not doing anything with this guy, but we can do this, right? Multiply, which is 64, plus, let's multiply 4 times negative 11, it's going to give us negative 44, right? Do these two, right? Negative 12 minus 64, it's going to be negative 12 plus negative 64, and that's going to give us negative 76, which we are going to add to negative 44, and that looks like 120. Okay. Last one is 3 times the absolute value of all that stuff that's inside there. And let's do that. So 3 waits a little bit. 12 minus 8 divided by 2 to the third power is 8. 3 times, and inside here, so we can, let's just do 2 steps. 8 divided by 8 is 1, right? And 12 minus 1 is 11. So that's what I have inside here, the absolute value symbol. Let's take the absolute value of 11. It's 11. So we get 3 times 11. And the answer is 33. Okay. So this is Unit 1. Take advantage that Unit 1 is the easiest, right? It's a lot of stuff that you already seen and done. So boost up your grade as high as you can, because it doesn't get easier from here. I promise you that. Okay, so take advantage. Determine if it's true, false, or sometimes true. Okay, so we have 3 choices. An integer raised to an even power will always be positive. Yep. True, always. You can take, so again, if you're debating this, just put an example. Take a negative number, raise it to a even power, like 2 or 4 or 6, 8, right? See what happens. And then take a positive number and raise it to, again, to a even power. I just choose 2 because I don't know who wants to do 4, right? So that is negative 2 times negative 2, and I get 4 positive. And 4 times 4 is also 16. So no matter what, even if you chose to raise to the 20th power, as long as it's an even power, your answer will always be true. So that positive. Okay, so that's always true. A negative minus a negative is sometimes positive. Well, let's do it. Negative minus a negative. That becomes negative 3 plus 8. My answer is 5. Let's pick a different negative. So negative 3, and let's do negative 1, just to see. So I get negative 3 plus 1. Ooh, there we go. I get a negative number. So sometimes I can get a negative number. Sometimes I'll get a positive number. So it's sometimes negative. I'm going to write true. Yeah, it is sometimes negative, depending on what this value is here, right? If it's larger or smaller than negative 3. On the number line, the number on the left always has the greater value, right? So here's a number line. Let's pick 0 and pick 2 numbers. Pick 0 and 5. The number on the left in this case would be 0. Is 0 greater than 5? Absolutely not. So we already talked about this, and the number on the right is always, this is false. The number right is always the one with a greater value. Okay, so this one is a exercise in substitution and how to substitute. So let's take the first one. It's minus, and notice that a is negative 3, so I'm going to replace. So imagine me able to take that a out and replace that a with negative 3. The second power minus, instead of b, I'm going to write negative 4 for the second power. That's that expression substituted, which is the main problem here. Okay, because after that everything else is pretty simple. Okay, so to solve this, that minus just is going to wait a little bit. Let's do negative 3 to the second power, which is negative 3 times negative 3, which is 9. So that becomes 9. Again, that subtraction sign is just going to wait a little bit, and let's change that exponent. Negative 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. Sorry, positive 16. So that becomes negative 9 minus 16, which you may want to change to this. Final answer, negative 25. Okay, guys, like I said, I can't force you to change this subtraction to an addition problem. I didn't grow up doing this part here. Okay, we didn't change subtraction problems to addition problems. We just knew. I don't remember how. We just knew that that was negative 25. Okay, so, but if you're getting your answers wrong and you're having difficulty seeing what exactly is happening, as a subtraction problem, take the 2 extra seconds and change it to an addition problem. 20b, c is 8. It's going to be multiplying everything, the absolute value of whatever is inside. So minus 10 minus a, which is a is negative 3. And what's b? Negative 4. So we have to do all that, take the absolute value, and then multiply by 8. So let's do that. So negative, so we got to take care of this multiplication. Negative 10 minus, and what's negative 3 times negative 4? It's a positive number, and that's 12. Let me bring that over here. Let's find out what negative 10 minus 12 is. Again, it's negative 10 plus negative 12, right? Change it to an addition problem. I can clearly see they're both negative, so it makes my life easier. So I know my answer is negative 22. Take the absolute value of negative 22, and it becomes just 22. Right? And that's going to give us 16, carry 176 for our answer. I believe this is our last problem. B to the third power, replace the b with its value, which is negative 4. Allow me to just write this a little bit higher here. Negative 4 to the third power minus a times b times c. A is negative 3, b is negative 4, and c is 8. Now, let's take care of the exponent first. Negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 is a negative number, which is negative 64. Minus, and let's multiply these three numbers. Negative 3 times negative 4 is positive 12. Positive 12 times 8 is 96. Positive. So, make this 96 positive. Now all we have to do is subtract, or change it to an addition problem. 2 negatives, so it's negative. 6 plus 4 is 10, carry 1, 6, negative 160. That should be it. So that should give me an idea of what to expect on your test on Wednesday. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can ask me on Monday. Okay, we still have a little bit of time. All right, that's it.